Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Pro Worlds Mixed Doubles. We're here for round one of Modified Best Shot. We're out at the Jones Supreme course. A little modification on the format as well as the actual course. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined alongside AJ Risley. And AJ, first
Hello.
of all, welcome. And second of all, how do we attack hole 14?
Yeah, we're jumping right into it. This card's starting off on 14. It's a par 4. There's some OB on the left that they're going to want to avoid that creek and beyond. Not so much trouble on the right, but basically a big bomb right off the tee, and then a touchy approach shot over the creek through these trees, and hopefully settle in nicely for a little circle one putt. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing great. And a big first shout out to Ace Run Productions for helping with the drone previews. We're going to have some from some short tees and long tees and various pins, but you guys will get the idea.
And actually, hole 14, they're playing the MPO pad this time, and Macie's teeing off, and she wasn't sure if she was going to make it over the water or inbounds, but she did just fine. Let Calvin go ahead and rip on one.
Green light here. Calvin and Macie teamed up, and then our 2021 MPO World Champion James Conrad along with Ella Hansen.
Yeah. A big thrower right out of the gates. James is just trying to keep up at this point. It's the first hole of the day, and he's like, man, I really got to keep up.
So this is modified best shot, and really the big takeaway, and spoiler, you'll see this play out a little bit. The takeaway is that you can never have the same person use 3 of their drives or tee shots in a row. So if Ella were to throw the tee shot on both 14 and 15 that were both used, on 16 it would be automatically James no matter what. So that's why it's not true best shot.
And James threw his envy across the creek without hitting a tree. Pretty much gave Ella the green light. She almost rang it up from back there, throwing just as an impressive shot as James. And here's where Calvin's drive got to.
Yeah, this makes this hole look very easy when you're playing from Calvin's drive. So Macie has a green light. Calvin's pretty close to the pin. And so Velediaz comes up short, finds herself just deep from Calvin's approach shot here. Are we at the jungles of Emporia here?
I think we found it, yeah. If you find yourself in a creek, get out your biology textbook. You might find some species you've never heard of. There's a birdie for Velediaz and Heimburg.
Finding a birdie here to get started. Nice work.
Speaking of jungles, Calvin wore the appropriate shirt.
He did, and with excitement, he goes and retrieves that.
Yeah, it's business as usual. Starting the day off with the birdie. Business as usual for Calvin Heimburg and James Conrad.
Doing some work. Thank you guys for coming along and supporting this coverage. Here we are on 15.
Yep, 15. Just under 400 feet. A little uphill. There's some trees to deal with right off the tee. A tight gap to hit. A lot of players, you'll see that road on the right side of your screen. They'll try to skip a shot off that right side. There is a big sidearm play, but really a lot of the danger is that pond that we're seeing right there on the left. And we're going to be playing to the deep right basket this first round for the MPO layout.
We got a shot from there.
Macie's right. At least I have one in play. So you would think a par at worst. Here's Heimburg.
Little overcooked. Oh. And he found the foliage before he could get back to the road and get that skip we were talking about.
And you guys will see there's so much strategy that can go into even in a best shot scenario where Macie put it out there perfectly in play, safe. Calvin could get much more aggressive and it doesn't pan out, but worst case scenario, they should be walking away with a par. And here now,
Oh,
all the
man.
pressure is going to be back on Ella because James is out of bounds. So she is talking about whether or not she should kind of pull it back.
Yeah, what should I do? Yeah.
She needs to at least put it in bounds. And that'll be safe from there. Short, but no problem.
Yeah, I love what you said. I mean, best shot with this kind of field already brings into play a whole bunch of strategy. You know, these players are trying to birdie every hole just about. But then you go modified, and that just throws a wrench in the whole system, and they have to try to game plan even further from there. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, and they did take Ella's drive on the first hole, and now Ella's drive on the second hole, and you heard James a moment ago say, we have to take my drive on the next hole.
The next hole's a doozy. There's Macie's harp approach, getting her pretty close, giving Calvin the green light. Little roll reversal from last hole.
Yeah, as he said, throw it in. This should be a full send. When Macie's right next to the pin for what should be an easy tap in, Calvin should not be short on that. And
That looked close to full power with the Rhino there. Oh, a little circle's edge stepper. Good height and power for Ella, but I wonder if that slope that we're seeing, wonder if that right to left downgrade kind of helped push that disc to the left.
these guys are going to need a putt here. Otherwise, a bogey would be had, and that's about the worst score you could have in a best shot scenario.
Truth.
Well,
James
okay.
Conrad to the rescue. Good teamwork there. Whoa, don't do it.
They're working hard, though. They shouldn't have to work that hard for a best shot par.
Yeah, I agree. But hey, that's Jones Supreme for you. Kind of a tough course.
So through two, we've got each team at 1 under here at this. This is a PDGA C tier. We'll talk more on that later, but here we
Sure.
are on the par 5.
Oh yeah, par 5. This is a big one. Well over 800 feet, 2-shot hole. Gonna throw this uphill shot, and the players can't really see where they're landing. Hopefully they'll land somewhere here near that short tee pad we just flew over, and then they're gonna throw across this valley. And this is a tricky one. There's a lot of wind. The basket is placed at the very back edge of the green, bringing that deep OB into play. I don't know. It's gonna take 2 big rips. And the players are going to aim at that flagpole you're seeing and play to the left.
Yeah, that's obviously a great landmark and visual. And they want to be, what, short or left of it? Is that the place you kind of need to be?
Yeah, definitely left. If you're a little bit longer, you cut the distance of that second shot down a bit, so that's nice. Oh, there's that same flagpole. And there's Calvin's shot. Beautiful.
Yeah, anytime you're seeing that shorter tee pad or the original tee pad for that hole there, you've definitely thrown a great shot. Because if you're near that tee pad, most of our competitors will be going after the pin from there. So he set them up really well.
Right. There's no like weird shot that he's going to have to manufacture just out of his own imagination. It's clear that they have an easy enough approach, I should say. James found a tree there on the left.
Yeah, and they're going to have to play from it. So this is Ella just really warming up and practicing, so to speak. No matter where this disc goes, it doesn't come into play. It can't be used because they used her drive on the previous 2. So they're for sure playing from James, even though in this case Ella's shot looks much better.
A little better, yeah.
But that was really just a practice while she's out here. Here's Ella just trying to pitch out.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, and they're not in a position where they can go for the green at all, as you're seeing. Just no run up and, not a sidearm that's of 400-foot caliber. So this should be a pitch out of some kind for James. And you may or may not have heard just before as they were digging into here, they said, well, let's put one out in front so we have where Ella is. And now James says, I can be even a little more aggressive and try and push up on the right side and find the skinny inbounds area. And I really love that strategy because them
Sure.
putting their two discs right next to one another for the layup doesn't do them any good. So James gets a little more aggressive here, but this gets up in the air and then ultimately pushes out of bounds. So they still have Ella's great shot to play from.
But they will be they are losing a little ground to Calvin and Macie. Macie clears that OB, all that tall grass you see there. That's out of bounds. Here goes Calvin with the eagle. Got the height for sure. Oh yeah. Circle one. Circle one for birdie for the MPO. Circle one for eagle for the FPO. Is that correct?
It is, and I apologize. There's going to be some times where the same hole might be referenced with a different par, depending if it's considered an FPO hole or an MPO hole. We'll try and stay on top of that as best as we can, but they're calling this a par 4 in the first round. That pushes off well to the right side, hits a late tree, and gives them still a look.
Pretty long look, though.
So this is to save a par, just like we saw on the previous hole. Long look for par.
Oh, both looks coming off left. Bummer.
Yeah, and that looks like a bogey. Here we're looking at an eagle bid, or a
Oh,
correction,
yeah.
a birdie bid.
Birdie / eagle. Either way, it's a 3.
Exactly.
And great teamwork. Good putt from Macie there. This team has a lot of good chemistry. I'm just say that right now.
Yeah, and having a good time, as you're saying, as we head over to the next one. Drone previews brought to us by our friends at Ace Run Pro. As
Yep.
we head over to this one, AJ.
Yeah, 17, another big one. Par 4 for the men, par 5 for the ladies. Actually, shorter basket for the ladies. My apologies. We're going to throw tight shot here. All that tall grass on the left is out of bounds. There's a road off to the right. We're flying under this canopy that the players are going to have to navigate, maneuver around some trees. All this grass that we're flying over is pretty short. The dirt is pretty hard packed, so this green gets pretty fast. And again, that tall grass behind is out of bounds.
And as we showed you to the short pin, they're going to go to the long pin on this one during round 1. We'll see them playing to the short pin in round 2, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's inbounds.
And green flag confirms Macie's assumption there.
Gotta love a good green flag, especially early on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, if I'm ever flag shopping, it's definitely got to be green.
Gonna be green.
What would be your second
Without a doubt.
favorite color?
Teal.
Flag? Okay.
Close to
I
green.
could get into that, yeah.
Close enough.
Teal.
Calvin going big, booming hyzer over the road. Needs to settle, and it does. Yeah, he's smack dab in the middle of the fairway, way down there. James is going to copy that route, going full send like he normally does, physically full send.
And the spotters weren't quite ready for the massive drive yet that was coming in from Conrad, but
Right.
thank you guys for the help out there. He gets the green flag. And again, you're always thinking ahead. If you have two drives that might be of similar position, you have to think about, well, whose drive did we use on the last hole? And will it be any form of an advantage on the next hole, depending on the shape and look of whatever the next hole is. So I love this modified best shot. You're not just relying on one person to be able to throw all of the good drives, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a great point. And another great point is that the next hole is a big one, 18, par 4, and they're playing from the MPOT, which is much longer than the FPOT. But back to 17. James laces this one.
And it comes up just short.
Oh,
Another
man.
6 or 12 inches maybe of height, and it would have easily cleared the long grass. But once it hit the long grass, it pulled it right in. Macie resets after a goofy footing with a rock.
I know. He yanked it. Slow down.
Yeah, you can hear both Macie and Calvin. They're dealing with the elements on this hole. Macie, that low ceiling. Calvin worried about that super fast green, but he displays a beautiful amount of touch, and he's right inside circle one. But, like you said earlier, they took his drive on the previous hole, so they will be taking Macie's drive on 18's MPO tee pad.
Ella with a long look for birdie, and neither of them get it to fall from circle two. I wouldn't say it's quite scorching weather at this point, as we're looking at about 10:30 in the morning, but it's warm. It's certainly warm enough, and every bit of warmth that you would expect from Emporia at the end of August.
Oh. Nice thing about this hole is that we were in the shade most of the time.
For Macie to throw some shade here at Calvin and vice versa with that putt. Quick recovery.
Here we go. 18. This looks like the FPO pad, but this round we're playing the MPO pad. We're going to throw out the gap here to this field. There's that pole that you're seeing on the right side of your screen that is a mandatory. Players have to go left. Really, they're trying to get the players to go through this gap here that we're going to maneuver around. Throw the shot into the incline, and hopefully you get a nice little scoot up to the basket. It's out in the open.
It is in the open, and it'll give them a couple of different looks. I think Macie would have loved to get it down a little bit more, so she would have got more distance from it. But now we're seeing a smash here from Ella, and this is going to put them in really good position. You see those flags on the left. That's the drop zone. And so you often hear players say, hey, get at least to the drop zone, and then you're looking to be just left of it. And James wasn't eligible to throw a shot, so he didn't bother, as they're going to have to play from Ella's throw, regardless of where it went.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was just a fun bomb from Calvin, too.
Yeah, he was just
Ended up OB left.
throwing an extra one. And James looks like he's within inches practically of where Ella had landed. So, and here's some great strategy. Macie, not with too many options, basically offered that they would put it in the middle so that they could punch through the gap and likely get up and down for a 4. And now Calvin, with that safe shot in mind, is going to go uber aggressive and go up and over, which is not a play you see often, is it, AJ?
No, not usually. I think it has to do with the height of the trees that he's trying to maneuver around. Usually the players, they'll get a little bit more distance off the tee, so they'll be a little closer to those trees, thus making that angle that they have to throw to get up and over them much steeper.
Yeah, I'll just say don't try that at home. Don't try that at Jones Supreme either. Most players do not have the power required that we just saw at Calvin. That was very impressive, as he's right at circle's edge. So they have a birdie look from there.
Maybe that'll be his tournament play. Mid-range off the tee. Driver to the green. Here's James with the more traditional approach going through the gap there. He hit it pretty well, but he faded out a little bit early left. Good looking shot from Ella. A little short, perhaps. Let's see which one they go with. They go with James.
And
They're
see,
just outside.
Yep. So slightly uphill to an elevated basket. You can see how it might be easy to come up short here. So you got to make sure they get more than enough on it. And maybe a little light tailwind.
Oh.
You can't argue with that bid. Obviously, you'd like to go in, but definitely didn't come up short and at least gave it a really good chance.
Right. There's like that split second out of your hand where you know that, okay, I put enough power on it, and then you watch it hit the pole and shucks.
Dang nabbit. Here's Conrad. Can he put it in from circle two?
Ooh, a laser beam.
Good birdie.
Great putt from Conrad country.
Macie with the look.
Ooh. I love that line out of her hand. It just dropped out of the sky.
Yeah, and their look is pretty similar. Might feel closer, but it's only probably 3 feet closer than what we just saw from the other team with no obstruction at all here. Pretty gentle breeze.
Pizza in the oven. Freaking gold.
What do you think? 400, 425?
At
What's he?
at
What,
least.
what are they preheating to?
As
Double
they said,
digits?
yeah, they're just trying to 3 every hole out here. And it's been really impressive what they're doing with some great birdies. And now we move over to the relatively new hole number 1.
Yep. Island hole. They're going to shoot through this gap over the creek onto this island built up with these limestone blocks here. A new addition to the world's layout is an extra set of limestone blocks on that backside, that deep line right behind the basket. Builds up a little bit more of a backstop and hopefully entices the player to attack the green a little bit more. Oh, inches.
Just short.
Yeah, I mean, we can make that better now.
Just about everything else from that throw was spot on.
And this is a really high pressure pack shot now because if he doesn't put it on the island, you're almost guaranteeing yourselves a bogey 4, assuming he's not laying up. And it doesn't look like he's laying up for it either. So Heimburg going for the island. It's drifting left.
Oh.
But checks up.
Made it.
Grabs the synthetic mulch. Sticks inbounds. Ooh, a little early from James.
And he's leaking to the left side and then bounces right over the top of Heimburg's. And so this is green light here for Ella Hansen.
Green light going with the hyzer flip. Wow, what a shot. And she makes use of that limestone backstop.
Yeah, even though it was coming in low, but either way, it stays on, and she's going to have closest to the pin. Meanwhile, Macie putting from Kelvin, and she
Dead
converts.
center. Did you get a chance to walk around on the
I do, and it
synthetic
feels,
mulch?
yeah, so, you know, what do you call it, synthetic?
Yeah, synthetic mulch.
Yeah, it's they're cut up tires is really what they are.
Yeah.
And which is just another word maybe for what you're saying, but it feels really awkward. And anytime, and I say that is, if you have to really push off and
Yeah.
get some legs into your putt or some power, you really have to work your footing and make sure that you're good and consistent, because it feels really awkward to kind of like, I'll say, bounce around when you're in there. It's really unique.
That's a good point. Yeah.
As we
It
move over to hole
absorbs that
2.
energy. Hole 2, par 5. OB on the left side of the first part of this fairway. Going to go slightly uphill, and then the fairway's going to kind of pinch off. You can see that OB line staying consistent. Pond on the right. Another low canopy that the players are going to have to get under and really punch straight through. We're coming up on the FPO basket. The MPO basket that they're playing is longer, to the left, over 1,000 feet. This is a behemoth.
1087 to the long pin here. I think the short pin that we just saw is to about 850 or 900, somewhere in that neighborhood. So
Macie, let's loose on one of them, though.
and that's, again, taking all the pressure off Calvin. He can go as aggressive as he wants here.
And he's going very aggressive. He's playing to the corner tree right there near that pond. And he gets way up there. Only thing wrong with that is it might be pinched on that corner a little bit. Solid shot from James. Whenever you see James throw, you just really just got to appreciate the way he's able to generate so much energy and direct it all into the disc. It's really a marvel.
That one's turned over. It's still safe and workable, but turned over.
Pulled a little right.
Stay short of the pond, which is the most important part.
Think you flick some over the water? Over there? I mean, the tree's not overhanging the water.
Do you think if you went forehand, you can get a forehand up there?
I think I'm better off on like a
Okay.
They're in a pretty good spot. They're in an open spot, so Calvin does have a lot of different options here. Really just trying to figure out which one is the optimal approach. What's going to get them closest for an eagle or birdie look?
Yeah, that's good. Good shot, Calvin.
Yeah.
Strategy.
Full send on it. Hit the gap that he was looking at, trying to get around that corner. Well done. And here's James finding a gap and just blasting through it. I think Ella is lining up a roller.
Doesn't look like she put enough angle on that, so it catches edge and it continues to roll. Obviously, they'll be able to just play from James, which is a great shot. Here's Macie with their third. There's something that feels a little deflating about throwing your third shot and you're still 400 feet from a pin.
Yeah. 400 feet, slightly uphill, low ceilings, trees to navigate around. Yeah, it's it's not your it's not your local pitch and putt out here, folks. It's a different frisbee game. Oh no.
That definitely had the power.
Yeah, Macie's got commentary gig in her future. She's right. That thing had the juice. Like this one.
Yeah, it does. Ella putting it inside the circle. And they're going to have a birdie look from there. Again, green light here for James. He's going with a putter.
And that's what he's able to do after his big tee shot and that second shot. He really bit off a lot of that corner.
I think that was going in if you didn't hit it.
Yeah, comes up a little short. Macie with the lucid ice justice.
No problem. So this is the first time they'll take a score other than a 3 or a 2. And ultimately they're going to take the par 5. And for as big as Calvin's drive was off the tee, that's got to be just a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I guess it's that strategy that that you mentioned previously about the next hole, hole 3, another big shot over water this time.
Yeah, and this is going to force them to take Macie's because they took Calvin's on 1 and then Calvin's tee shot on 2. So this is going to be Macie's tee shot here on 3.
Yeah, but hole 3, par 4, 654 feet. Big play over the water. You can lay up short left, but you're going to see most people try to go over the water here. There is an OB line on the right side of the fairway that some players will find if they turn their drive over. Pretty to be expected. It's a big shot. This is the FPO basket. MPO basket's hiding there and back in the back. You can see it. It's about 100 feet further.
So naturally a full send for Conrad, going all the way over, no problem clearing it, and he gets the green.
Yeah. Let's see if Ella can get over. Little tricky to see in the clouds, but yeah, she came up just a couple feet short in the water.
I believe this is just a formality for Calvin. I don't believe that they can take this shot. But it is a big throw there for Calvin. He'd be happy with that. And Macie's going to play up the left side. And, of course, we can't help but think back to the Dynamic Disc Open earlier in the year when she had a throw-in for eagle on this hole.
Oh, yeah.
James with his second forehand of the round, something quite rare, as many of you know.
Yeah, lots of rough and foliage out here.
And I guess I must have been mistaken. Maybe they played from Macie's during the previous hole, and therefore it was open for them to be able to take Calvin's here.
I think
So
that
my
is what
mistake.
happened. I think that is what happened.
And a full send by Velediaz.
Might as well. What do you think, 20 feet, 22?
Yeah, at least that. Coming back at it. This is for the birdie.
The wind is trying to make up its mind. It's not really sure what it's doing right now. Well, Calvin knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he sure does. As that's going to push them. Yet another one under par, and it feels like all things are firing just fine for this team.
Oh, yeah. Big drive from Macie. Big putts from Calvin. Lots of chemistry. Oh, that one caught a lot of chains.
Just dips out on the right side. So now we're going to have to rely on his partner. We'll see if Ella can step up. This is just outside the bullseye, so you're looking inside 20 feet here. And no problem. So Ella doing some work. And we got a couple of solid scores going as we're now heading into our 9th hole of the matchup. Feels kind of gets us out of pace when you start on hole 14. But here they are on the 9th hole, hole number 4.
Hole number 4, another uphill shot, 668 feet. OB tight on that left side. There's a little bit of OB on the right side as well, so really just keep it in the middle. big tree that the players have to use as a landmark off the tee. They want to play to the right and then play a little left to right hook shot into this basket. This is actually the FPO basket. MPO basket's maybe 120 feet further to the left.
Either way, the tee shot pretty much sets up the exact same regardless of the basket you're going to. And that flirts with the right side OB but stays inbound, so no problem there.
I'm allowed to throw it. I just can't take my shot.
And again, we hear James talking about how they are forced to take Ella's tee shot, which is in really good position, so no problems there. But James going to get some more practice in as we're just a couple days before the World Championships begins. And Jones Supreme as a course, we just saw for the first time really debut in the 2022 Dynamic Disc Open, didn't we, AJ?
Yes. So, yeah, I can't imagine that many of the players have a lot of reps on these holes. So, yeah.
They played him for that event, and we're out on the property where you'd normally find Jones West back in the day. And then it's utilizing both Jones West and Jones East as those two courses existed, but now we're exclusively offered up Jones Supreme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A nice conglomerate of the two. Alvin
Sounds like one of those
big
$200
bomb.
words, AJ. I can't afford those.
If you save up long enough, you'll be just fine. Oh. Little early. James says he's trying to get fancy with it.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be out of position.
The short side of the circle, I think that would be probably the best play.
And one of my favorite parts about this event is seeing some of the newer teams that form and the strategies that unfold. You have some teams that have been playing together forever. I think of the likes of Paige Pierce and Jeremy Coling, for instance. Like they know already what each other is thinking in almost every scenario. But some of the other teams, like both of the teams here, I believe, are newer to playing together. And they might be good friends. They might practice together or whatever. But this is the first time, they're playing in a competitive format. And I've just really loved watching the dynamics develop and unfold.
Totally. Yeah, there's you have to be comfortable with your partner in order to lend them some advice and share your insight. And that takes some time to get comfortable.
Yeah, we're seeing, I feel like, Kelvin in a more relaxed atmosphere or maybe a little more jovial than normal during a competitive round. Conrad is off the mark, and he's going to rely on Ella to try and pick up a birdie again, just as they did on the previous hole. And you cannot be low on a putt opportunity like that with your partner, and Macie lining up her birdie look, or theirs. And as she does that, she's in for birdie, a great front nine. I need to thank you guys for joining. I need to thank everyone at the Dynamic Disc crew, along with the PDGA staff and crew, and AJ, along with Ryan, out there hustling around in this weather, giving us all these great shots. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and put it in the comments if you, in fact, like the format, and if not, what would you like to see otherwise? We'll see you for the back nine.
Bye.